Finance and Human Resources Committee.
Seems like
October
we just
30th.
left.
Right?
I'm sorry, I said it seems like we just left.
Councilmember Harrington,
Here.
Councilmember Matheson,
Here.
minutes.
We
Good.
just got them. and
Yeah,
haven't
I
had a
didn't
chance
see,
to
yeah,
review them.
let's pause on those and we can do them next week,
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah,
okay.
the only
Yep.
ones we have tonight are from September 11th and October 2nd. I don't remember if we had them at all at the last meeting, but we can wait on all of them, doesn't matter.
I'll review them
Yeah.
for sure before our next meeting and then we can
Okay.
Yeah.
accept them. All right, so let's get started with the items. We have a reappointment for Airport Commission. This is Richard Brockway.
So all three of these reappointments are individuals who were recently appointed by the council, but they didn't get in and sign the oath book within the 30-day timeframe for one reason or
So
another.
it's a 30-day.
Yeah, so they're all, I understand, still
Okay.
interested and want to do the job, but need to be reappointed to be able to do that.
Okay, so hopefully this time they'll get it under the wire.
Yeah.
I'm good for all three.
Me too. All right, so our first item then really is the, an agreement with the Health Insurance Consortium.
So this is extending, obviously we joined the Cuyahoga County Health Insurance Consortium a couple years ago, 2023. The consortium at that time we joined in the middle of a 3-year agreement amongst all the participants. This would be extending for another 3 years without really any other changes other than adding the city of Oneonta into the language. It's something that we would recommend doing. There is an early termination clause that would apply if we were to attempt to leave early. Jane, do you remember off the top of your head what that is, right? What's up here? For the Health Insurance Consortium, the early termination issue, that would be the only thing that you'd be aware of.
Yes, if we decide to leave the consortium before the end of the term, there'll be an exit fee.
Mhm.
And that is, will be explained in the meeting.
Okay.
And that is not our intent.
Right, you wouldn't intend to leave. From my understanding, there's nothing that has changed in the agreement, is that correct? This is just an update?
Correct.
Right.
The agreement that's attached is the current one, which actually has been modified by the fact that the city of Oneonta joined. It doesn't mention us in this because this is the one they signed from 2022. But the new one would be essentially the same language with this 3-year extension.
So it's a 3-year agreement.
Yes.
The new agreement is just going to, instead of having the city of Oneonta on as an addendum to it, will actually be named in the agreement.
Any questions from the committee? Okay. Then we will move that to the consent agenda and look at the next contract approval. This is for a renewal of Medicare Advantage. This is for the 65 plus. 65 plus.
Well, I have a question about the 23% increase. So is this negotiated or is it just take it or leave it?
It
or
was
what?
bid, and our health consultants, took different quotes from different insurance companies. But this is mainly driven by the federal changes that are going on. As far as drug coverage, if they lower the drug cost to the individual, then they just increase the premiums because the drug still has to get paid for one way or the other. Also with the cuts that they're doing on the Affordable Care Act is affecting the coverages for different people, so it's affecting all of the insurance rates.
They haven't done that yet with Congress out. They're still fighting over the Affordable Care Act, right?
Yeah, and if you see the premiums coming up, but a lot of it has to do with the changes that they have done in drug coverage.
In what coverage?
Yeah, it's for.
Oh, the drug coverage, right here, I
Drug
didn't hear
RX.
that word. Yes, I
The
see.
RX coverage.
Yeah.
The reason I ask is, I don't have the numbers, exactly, but, there was I have, two supplemental to Medicare, and one is going up, I think, like 4.5%, the other one is 6.5%, which is, single digits compared to this, so that's why I thought that was a little,
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
because,
crazy
well,
stuff.
it depends on, supplemental plans are different than Medicare Advantage plans.
Mhm.
Medicare Advantage plans, for example, there is, no donut hole for the RX. So the individual's getting better coverage, they also get like silver sneakers, and they get
Hmm.
dental, and they get vision, and
Hmm.
different, so it's a different type of coverage.
Hmm.
And also, it depends on how you're, rated, if you're community rated or if you're experience rated, depending on the group that you're in. And trust me, these are very, very competitive. The other consortiums and other counties, their premiums, ours is like 300 and, what was it,
46.40.
or something like that. The other ones are 530, 475, 430, 400, and then 47, they're much, much higher. And our health broker has told us that they have been delivering renewals to people at 100%, 60%, 40%,
Hmm.
because the insurance costs are just skyrocketing.
Yeah.
So these rates are very competitive.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Great, thanks for that.
Doesn't sound good to me, but it sounds good to me.
Right, they're helpful details.
And just so you know, because 65 plus, we got such a good deal about, honestly, 3 years ago. These rates that we have now are very similar to the rates we had like 4 years ago.
Wow. Great.
So can you like explain this when we, have a full council meeting, mention why, the explanation for such a high increase?
Oh, sure, I can mention.
Yeah, because it is,
Yeah.
23% more.
Oh, it's dramatic.
Yeah. Where if you go to the next page, we're only talking
It's only
4%.
4%, right. I mean, dental, yeah, it is what it is. Were there any questions about the dental coverage in the next one? So we'll move that Medicare Advantage item to consent, and then we can have us look at the contract for the dental.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions about that?
Nope.
Okay, we can move that to consent, and then we have, I think we had a discussion about this yesterday, because the next item is for a change in job title. We mentioned this last night, correct?
Yeah, we talked about the buildings and grounds worker
Mhm.
job description last night, and how that would help alter how we do things with the facilities maintenance crew, focused on the
Right.
transit hub and the public safety building. We would likely end up with having 2 members of that crew in this title eventually.
Mm-hmm.
So the title has been adopted by the Civil Service Commission, and now it would need to be adopted by the council and assigned to the CSEA grade C2, and assigned a standard workday of 8 hours. Now, it's going to be a 4-day, 10-hour position, but the standard workday is still considered 8 hours. Chris or Dave had anything you wanted to add on that position establishment specifically? And we talked about the budget implications last night, and it's included in the preliminary budget and was not discussed as being removed, so. It's something, okay.
I was just gonna say that this is specifically really related to cleaning the transit hub,
Right.
the public safety building, and then in between like Market Street, Water Street, Chestnut Street Extension, Muller Plaza, Main Street. Their hours will be working from midnight to 10:30 a.m. And, they'll be able to do things on the weekend because they'll be working, one will work Sunday through Wednesday, the other will Wednesday through Saturday.
Mhm.
So Saturdays will be covered, we'll be able to have them do the garbage and the bathroom cleaning, which normally we have to assign to someone for overtime. someone will always have somebody around, so if there's an emergency, they could go and check on the issue. If there's dead animals that need to be addressed, maybe they can handle that. So it's gonna be, make us a little more versatile, and provide better coverage.
Does this person work alone at night?
They will be alone, that is correct,
Hmm.
except for Wednesdays.
Okay. And from what I recall of our discussion last night, there was support for this. There seemed to be
Mm-hmm.
support for
I
this.
think there was.
Yeah.
I do wanna add, there will be a little overlap, because Gene's crew right now works at 5 o'clock, 5 AM, so they will be, you know,
Mhm.
they'll be there by themselves for about 5 hours.
Mhm.
Okay.
It just gets lonely. You know?
Yeah.
Late at night.
I work shifts like that, and it's, I mean, it's just,
I'll add
sometimes-
too, that if they are working in the public safety building to start the day, they've got that third shift of the police department around them,
Mhm.
you know, so they're never in a silo, even in the middle of the night,
Mhm.
where they do, there will be people around.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll be locked in a building for
Yeah.
most of the time, so that's not the issue, it's just you by yourself. It's
Sure.
in the middle of the night.
And there are cameras, there'll be cameras all over, there's 42 of them down at the transit hub site, there's cameras up and down Main Street, cameras at public safety, so they should
Mhm.
feel pretty safe.
Oh, I wasn't thinking about that so much, it's just that, you know, we're
Yeah.
alone.
No camaraderie.
Right.
And I will also just, you know, we don't write a job spec specifically for one person or for one purpose, you know, this was the impetus for writing this job spec. But I do think that there's a lot of value in this job spec throughout other potential positions, you know, not only with the city, but, you know, I foresee the, housing authority and the library and the school district office utilizing this. This is basically just kind of a laborer plus, you know, a laborer that needs a driver's license, you know, but so it's mostly unskilled labor, which is different than the maintenance worker, which is more of a semi-skilled labor position. So I think it's a really good fit for the duties that we're creating here with the transit hub. But I do think there's value in it, you know, not only across other potentially departments in the city, but, you know, I see other agencies also adopting this type of stuff.
Okay.
As long as it stays in the budget, I think it's okay.
Yeah, okay. So we can move that to, I think because we had a discussion as a council about it, we can move that to the consent agenda.
Mhm.
So our next item is the capital improvement project, and this is a funding grant opportunity. But it's a little bit nuanced, correct? In
Yeah,
the sense
so-
that, yeah,
So obviously, we all know or aware that the ACC Allison building, the Armory, is something that the Utica Center for Development is potentially interested and still continues to be interested in purchasing or transferring ownership from the city at some point. Those conversations are ongoing. We understand that they're working on their end and going to come back and have more discussions with us, and that'll obviously come back through this committee and or the council as a whole. And this grant application is for ADA improvements that were identified in a study that we had funded a few years ago, specifically adding an elevator that connects the basement to the third floor. There is no elevator now. And also adding a permanent, historically appropriate, you know, ramp and steps in the front of the building. So if the city were to transfer the building, we would attempt to transfer this grant if we were successful in getting it to the new owner. That would help them out with the improvements any owner would have to make it ADA accessible. Obviously, if that didn't work out, the city would opt to move forward itself with the grant, potentially. It is a program, the CDBG Public Facilities Program. You can apply for up to $1 million. We would be applying for $1 million because our cost estimate, with some contingencies included and projected out a couple of years, assuming we construct perhaps in 2027 by the time the grant process and award and all that takes place. You know, we're looking at a $1.3 million project. It could be less than that. Again, there are construction contingencies in there. But given that it's above the max grant amount, the $300,000 is, you know, a local match that we would have to provide, or if we were to transfer the building, the new owner would provide So in order for us to apply for this grant now, the city, as the owner, would have to commit that match.
Is this a federal or state grant?
This is CDBG. There's federal funding that goes through the state. This program, as far as I understand, is still there. It exists. It's not a new program, not a new funding.
So
round,
who
but,
approves it, the state or the feds?
with the state.
The state.
Yeah.
But we've had some discussion about other grants from this program, just
Mhm.
recently, actually. Judy's been here. I think it's the one that she's applied to recently, the city
The
applied to.
micro enterprise.
Sorry?
The micro enterprise.
Yeah, I think that's the one that's going away.
Yeah.
So she wanted to get that completed, but, so if I wanna just make clear, there is no required match necessarily, that you could apply up to 1.3 million, is that,
You could apply up to $1 million.
okay,
Grant.
funding up to
So if your
$1 million,
project was
okay.
$1 million, you could potentially get $1 million without a match. But our project is estimated at $1.3 million, so there would have to be a match.
Right,
So,
so.
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. We're more likely to be able to sell a building if this is done?
I think whoever wants to fully utilize the front area of the building that has offices upstairs or whatever they may be turning them into would wanna have that be accessible, so, you know, if Utica Center takes that over, I imagine they wanna have an elevator there and would be looking to do that themselves. And so if we're able to get a grant to help do that, I think it does make the building more attractive, you know, to anyone looking to purchase it. But I can't say for certain that every potential use would require that.
Mhm.
Certainly the ramp out front, we have a temporary ramp now and a temporary set of stairs. The Landmarks and Historic Preservation Commission isn't excited about that, and we've shown them the plans we have for a more historically appropriate construction, but that obviously has a cost to it, so if we're able to fund that through a grant, that would be better than funding with taxpayer funds. So, local
Because
taxpayer
we
funds.
do wanna sell the building, and I guess, I don't know, what do you think, you know?
Well, I think this is a good opportunity, if only to entice when we do have a significant interest in this site.
Mhm.
And I think this and we would be able to, just to clarify, we'd be able to transfer this grant to the current
We
interested
would have to,
party if
presuming we got the grant and
Right.
we had or are transferring the building, we'd have to request that. I mean, perhaps that would be denied and it wouldn't be an option, but
Okay.
that would be the request, is to transfer it and
Okay.
allow them to utilize.
I think right now we have to err on the side that the building's gonna stay underneath us.
I think so too, and it
Gonna
needs
try to do
improvements.
this.
Yeah, and it needs improvements. So I think it's probably a good
Yeah, I agree.
recommendation.
As long, we just have to recognize we might be gambling with $300,000. We
Yeah.
don't, not necessarily, but possibly.
Yep.
So, we just go for discussion. Okay.
I say consent.
Right.
I said, I say consent. I'm just dreading Tuesday's meeting, so I was only saying consent.
No, move it all, one big consent agenda.
A big, beautiful consent agenda? No, we can't do
Whoa.
I think we should probably have a little bit of a discussion about this, only because we need to be kept informed of that building and what we're gonna be doing in that building. Because as you know, we do still,
Yeah. I mean, this could also, you could wait a couple weeks, because we have to schedule a public hearing,
oh, right.
that
That's
would,
right.
we wouldn't be able to do that by Tuesday, that could be done by the next meeting in November. So we could wait until then, we may have more information from Utica Center by then, maybe not, whether that's informative or not. So we could, you know, kind of let it sit and come back through this committee again to possibly be better informed. Sorry.
Just was curious what the status was on the Utica Center's interest.
They're actually having a meeting tomorrow they've already gotten approval from the board, which is
Great, yeah.
And they're moving toward funding assistance that they need to look at tomorrow.
Great.
They'll either report back to us tomorrow afternoon, or we might hear from them Monday.
Okay. to Greg's point, that we'll get more information as the maybe coming weeks.
Okay with me.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's move this then to,
Here,
right,
2 weeks from now.
yes.
Those are fighting words, 2 weeks from now.
I think we'll move it, what do you think?
No, I agree with you,
It's-
yeah.
I think that's a good thing to do. Okay.
Just 2 weeks is like so close, like here we are. I think burnout's coming.
So our last item, well, is the restricted reserves, which would be, it was, if I recall the document you provided in, was it September?
It's your,
Or
yes.
October, September, the September memo.
It's your appendix C in your budget book.
Okay, and it was like $500,000.
Yeah, well, it's increased a little since we did that.
Okay,
But what we're recommending is that 500,000 be transferred to the public safety reserve, 500,000 to the highway reserve, 500,000 to the streets and sidewalk reserve, 100,000 to the park and recs reserve, 100,000 to the IT reserve, and 50,000 to the airport reserve.
right.
And your appendix C shows what the projected balance is for 25, and then these additions, and then the uses that we're going to be possibly using in the 26 adopted budget.
Cecilia, it's printed out, again, that's the same, as Appendix C is printed out with the first.
Makes
You
life
didn't wanna have to maybe just flip
so much easier.
paper, but.
Can you,
Do you want me to walk you through this now?
well, yeah, I think I just didn't comprehend like anything you just said to me.
Okay. So,
Why don't you walk them through that first page of the appendix that shows a summary of the funds?
I thought these were printed out as well in a memo.
they are, and they're appendix C in detail, and then,
Yes.
yeah, and then they're also, I talked about them.
Yeah, it was much easier in that.
Yeah,
This is helpful. The memo, I think, had them just very,
Oh,
yeah. So
We
if you
discussed
just-
this last night, didn't we?
yes.
So if you just go.
All right, I just answered my own
This is
question.
appendix C, your very first page, appendix C. And it has page 1 on it, appendix C, restricted reserves, you have one?
Yeah.
You have that in front of you? Okay, so what it is, I want you to go from the right, 4 columns in that says current balance. So this is the projected balance that we know of as of right now. And, this does not include the additional interest earnings that we'll get through the end of December. But this shows you the 25 actual expenditures, what we've gotten in 25 actual revenue so far, and the outstanding purchase orders and the monies that we have committed for various purposes. So it shows you the current balance. Then it shows the proposed additions that I just listed off. Then it shows what we have included in the 26 preliminary budget. And then with the net balance. So basically what we're doing is in the general fund restricted reserves, we're going to be adding 1,750,000, and then we're going to be using 1,593,000. So that way the reserves will have a slight increase between 25 and 26.
Okay.
For the,
It's all coming back to me now.
that might have been hour like 5.
The minute she said then we're gonna take back out 1.5, I'm saying, oh yeah, okay, now I remember the whole
Yeah.
conversation. So I apologize.
no, you need to apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah,
So we'll develop a motion for 2
Yep.
minutes.
I think so.
Sounds good.
Consent or discussion?
I think, well, we did have a discussion, but not everybody was there.
I would stick that in consent, and then hopefully they read their agenda before they come, and if they really want to pull it, they could. Because we kind of really discussed it at length,
We really did. It's not that people aren't aware of it,
you know.
yeah.
Consent.
I mean,
I
you
think so.
could, you could even put in consent with an asterisk next to it, just to kind of make it stick out if anybody wants to really ask
You
questions.
mentioned it in the report at the beginning. I mean,
Yeah,
that way,
yeah. As discussed in our meeting on,
Mhm.
right,
Mhm.
okay. I'm good with that. So I'll move it to consent. Great. Okay.
This is it.
Now, when are the other members arriving, do you know?
They were told we were gonna do this agenda first, and we're not given a specific time.
I know Elaine is coming at 6. I was planning on making it, but she's the only member that I'm aware will be
I
here.
know Len won't be here.
Len will be here?
Len will not be here.
Shannon will not.
Mike will.
At 5:30, he said for him.
Katie said she was going to make it. but it's
Should we
not
take
here.
a break then and wait for them, or what would you like to do?
I think we could take a break
Sure.
until next week. Take a
Till
break
next
till
week.
6, till 6 o'clock. I don't,
I'll give you the hammer.
should we get started?
Sure.
Let's get, rolling. So we have the, administrative personnel manual. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we have, item number 1.
Well, it didn't make the agenda, it was my fault.
Right.
I forgot to tell Greg, but we need to have council approve a budget amendment for the central garage. They have, exhausted their sublet budget, just due to some large repairs, that they're not able to do in-house. So the budget amendment will be increasing the sublet expenditure and then increasing the sublet revenue. And it's going to be at least 50,000. I need to look at the detail to finalize the number, but I would like to present that to council on Tuesday if that's available.
Yeah, and that's from 2025.
2025.
Yeah, it's 50,000.
So, what exactly is the money for?
It's for when we have to send a vehicle out for repair because our in-house mechanics are not able to do the work. It could be body work or it could be maybe something that's under warranty or not warranty, but out of their realm of knowledge.
Is it for more than one vehicle?
It could be for more than one vehicle, yes.
Or it could be just for one vehicle.
And then the second thing that I wanted to announce is that, as you know, we have a BA and a bond anticipation note on our Market Street project. And we decided to renew the BAN instead of going for long-term financing at this time because the interest rates are starting to come down. And so we renewed it for 6 months. That sale came in today. There were 5 bidders on it. And we got an interest rate of 2.96 plus. So they were very happy that it came in under 3%. And we also got a premium of $31,000 on it. So I just wanted to update everybody. Bond council was very happy. They were also very happy that they got 5 bids on it.
What was the total bond?
What's the premium mean?
The premium means that they believe that the bond is going to make them more money, so they pay us more money up front to be able to get their bid.
Do you remember what we bonded that for, by any chance?
The bond anticipation of what it's for.
No, how much we bonded for?
Well, the authorization is for 7.5, but on the BAN, I only did 6 million.
Okay.
So that's good news.
Right?
But the interest rate is very low.
The interest rate's very low. Now, BAN interest rates are usually lower than long-term
Oh, I
financing.
see, okay. So that explains.
Short term, you said for 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah. 30 years.
Be very different.
So you,
Be more like six.
we just need authorization to throw that up. I'm okay with putting that on, that she asked for.
Discussion or consent?
I'd throw it on consent.
Consent. Okay,
There's chairs over here. We can sit.
I wasn't clear if you guys were still doing
we
finance committee.
we had finance committee from, our meeting went from 5 to 5:30, and then we took a break, and now we just convened for part 2,
Perfect.
post-break. So, in terms of moving forward our discussion, we had the discussion about the admin personnel increases for salaries for department heads. So maybe we should begin with that, since that's the substantive discussion. And I assume Chief will also circle back to talk about the items that we were voting on last night, including the, no?
Maybe not. We're still not gonna have a full council here.
You mean
So
tonight?
likely, yeah, nothing winds up changing for that.
Okay.
But Greg and I were just talking about in terms of Tuesday's agenda, the 4th, we'll front load it with budget.
So, based on discussion and direction last night, and any additional direction tonight, Ginny and I will prepare the tentative budget to be presented on Tuesday. And like the mayor said, we could do that at the beginning of the meeting, to get that out of the way and have a limit of time, before we start the regular agenda. And at that point, there can still be further discussion, further changes. Hopefully the whole council's there, we can get everyone's input, but not take 7 hours, of course. And then we can go from there if we need to schedule another special meeting, depending on where we're at with things.
So at that moment, the discussion would turn to the voting that we did last night in addition to. the other
Right,
items,
you know, if you have
potentially.
all 8 members there, especially the 2 that weren't here last night, you know,
Right.
like bringing them up to speed with what was discussed, what was decided by the group that was here, and is there any more discussion, any reconsiderations or
Right,
anything like that?
okay.
So,
Okay, so then tonight, the focus should really then be on, unless there's others who wanna add any items, but we should really focus then on this admin discussion. Okay.
right, we could also go over the water fund, the sewer fund, enterprise fund. We didn't talk about those.
Oh,
last night.
that's right, okay. Mike,
Not,
did you?
not nearly as extensive discussion, I don't believe, as necessary as the general fund,
Okay,
so it would not be as long.
okay, so those 2 items would really be the focus then.
And if I can just make a suggestion,
Yeah.
it might be that we kind of flip the script on what gets discussed, because this was really, more than anybody else, Katie, I don't know that she's showing up. I don't know if she's not showing up.
I don't know.
Yeah, so if there's a chance that she shows up, it might make some sort of sense, so that you're not repeating yourselves, that maybe you talk about water, sewer, et cetera, and then get into the admin stuff, and maybe at that point Katie's here for that discussion.
Okay.
Just suggestion.
What do others think about it? We start with the water and sewer?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's,
Mike, yeah?
I need to do parent chauffeur duty for about 15 minutes.
I couldn't hear what you said.
I have to do chauffeur duty briefly, but I'll ride and be back.
Okay.
So.
Okay, so why don't we start then with that's a nice idea, to get the conversation going. To get these forms of info out.
Okay, do we wanna maybe refer back to Ginny's memo, the section on the water, just review that?
Yeah.
One from yesterday?
No, the water and sewer was in here.
Okay.
Let me just look at what I handed out to you yesterday.
Okay, I don't remember.
So you'll see this, right after my memo yesterday. I think you filed it right in front. There you go. So this is a report, Jen,
put it exactly the order she gave it to me,
All right, mine is just before the state budget.
Yeah, it should be right before you.
so I don't
Uh-oh.
know. Because mine goes, thank you.
Yeah, I had looked at this before.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so what we do in the program is we put in the history of all the revenues and expenditures and all of our capital projects. Then also what we put in is all of the capital projects that we're expecting to do in the future. We also put inflation rates on where we want where we think our expenses will go, all of the future debt that we will need to borrow against the projects that we have, are planning on in the future. And then also, any anticipated grants that we know are going to be applied to our future capital projects. So there's a lot of information within this program. Then we also have the option of putting in, how much our rates need to go up to keep our cash flow going. So I want to explain this presentation to you for just a little bit. So you'll see all the color codings underneath the graph. So what you need to pay attention to is the solid black line. The solid black line is our actual cash flow. The dotted black line is where we want our cash flow to be, based on how much we have to invest in our infrastructure. And what we have done is in the future, we're looking for, we start out at a low amount, $250,000 to invest into a water main, then $300,000, then $500,000. Eventually, we're getting it up to $3 million a year. And that way, we're able to do 1 to 2 miles of water main every year. Projecting this out with the 66 miles of water infrastructure that we need to do, it's going to take about 35 years to do 1 to 2 miles every year. But what we need to do is we need to build our reserves up so we've got the cash on hand so we don't have to bond every time, because to replace 66 miles of water main is going to be extremely expensive. And if we had to borrow that money, it would just be unaffordable. So what this plan does is it builds our cash flow up. So you will see by the year 2035, it's getting closer. And what this is doing is, in our presentation that we gave back in 2020, I think it was, we had a 7-year program for the rates of doing 10%, and then we would be able to lower it. After putting in the new numbers with the new inflation costs, the new salary costs, the new retirement costs, and things like that, health insurance, we now have to do the 10% out to 2033. And then after that, it's 4.5%, and then 2.75%, and then 2.5% every year. So what this does is it builds our cash flow up, so we've got the cash on hand to be able to do the infrastructure repairs that the city desperately needs. And so you will see with the color coding here, what the bars represent. And we're able to put this up on the screen for you and show you live how the program works, but we wanted to do this briefly here because we need to get your feedback first. The 2026 preliminary budget includes a 10% increase in revenues. And it doesn't necessarily mean that's a 10% in the rates, and I want to talk to you about the rates. But what it does mean is that we need to increase our revenues between all of our water sales by 10% to be able to meet the 26 budget. Now, in looking at the revenues for the 26 budget, because last year a lot of the water rates were adjusted at the top of the table, that had our large users really bills, they basically went up almost 26%. And so that budget has been adjusted from 700,000 to 920,000. So what I call the non-college users, that budget needs to go up $195,000. So in planning that out in the table, we need to increase the minimum. My suggestion is that we increase the minimum by $15. If we increase it by 10, we're going to short ourselves about $20,000. But the reason I'm asking to increase it to 15 is because last year we only increased it 5. So we're behind schedule on collecting of the minimum. And then I would like to increase the first 3 steps after that, because that's where the majority of the usage is under the other users besides the ones that get up over the 3 million. And those 3 can go up 10%, but all of the rest of the table can stay the same. We don't need to increase that. And that would be my suggestion also for the sewer fund. We'll increase the minimum and then only the first 3 steps. And that will kind of even out the adjustment because as I said, the water and sewer bills for the high users went up, as I said, over 26% between 24 and 25. So that's my proposal. And also, as we said in the memo, this is the one really first years that the budget was able to be done seamlessly. We didn't have to cut a lot of things, even though Greg and I first went through the budget and just figured out where we could have some savings to be able to invest more into infrastructure. And we also have a very strong contingency in the water budget. And we have, I think, $175,000 to go towards the next water main repair. Any questions?
Can you remind me that this, adding the addition, the slow and steady, you know, adding 10, you know, to the base each year, how long is that supposed to continue to meet our goal there?
To 2033.
Okay.
Jenny, I know I've seen it somewhere, but I don't remember where. So, the information about like sort of the overview of water rates, like somewhere there's a comparison like 25 and 26.
The water rates themselves?
Yeah, like, and like the categories and rates I thought I saw.
Oh, no, that is not in your budget book. That was an email that I sent you.
Okay.
But I can provide that to you again if you would like.
I can look for it.
Yeah, where I sent out, from the annual billing, I sent out a report of where everybody fell within the categories. I do that after we do the annual billing. Over 1,800 of the annual bills do not go over the 37,000 gallons. Now, we are working with Waterworth for a different rate structure to present to council. And what we're working on is that we have what we call a base fee, where it will be so much per month for the infrastructure to get the water and wastewater to and from your house. And then a charge for water usage itself. Waterworth believes that we have too many steps in our rate table, and they are suggesting that we only have 3. We're not finished with that analysis yet, but they're saying that they think our water rate table is too long. That way, when someone receives their water bill, they're going to see the base fee for the infrastructure, for running of the plants, and for installing all of the infrastructure throughout the city. And then if they only use 1,000 gallons of water and say they're going to end up charging a nickel, they're only going to pay a nickel a gallon. But if they use, 100,000 gallons of water, that's what they're going to get charged for. Because one of the main complaints that we get at the window is that, well, I didn't use 37,000 gallons. I only used 15,000. Why do I have to pay for 37? And we have to explain to them that the minimum billing just happens to include 37,000 gallons. But the minimum billing really is to support the infrastructure of the plants. So I think this new rate structure that we will be showing you, it's going to take some time because we're going to have to rewrite the code, we're going to have to do local laws, and we're going to have to figure out the billing structure itself. Once we do this rate change, we can do quarterly billings, but I'm going to warn council how much work it is right now on the current tools we have to work with. I would like to hold off until the Tyler conversion. That way it'll be much smarter and much more efficient, and we'll be able to do a lot of electronic billing instead of the printing and the mailing and the sorting and things like that.
I thought we were waiting until Tyler, until we got that conversion.
I'm so sorry.
I thought we were waiting until Tyler. That was the reason why, we were asking to do it, and that's why, one of the reasons we went to it.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were doing it before.
Well, it depends on what instructions you give me, but, it's,
I say we wait until
That
Tyler.
does make sense.
Just make sure when we roll it out, we all just roll it out, so it's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
so,
You know.
and it will, because it's a tremendous amount of work to create those bills and to collect them. And as I've told council before, I may actually need a part-time person just to process all of them. Because, they're going to have to be created and then collected and enforced, so. And then we'll have to change the code for the appeal process and, all of the related aspects to the whole structure. Any questions on the water? And if you want to see this live, this program live, we've done it before, we can just put it right up on the television, but I would like to do it when the whole council's here.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
then, now, as far as the sewer fund, it is the same, scenario, increasing it, 10% for the revenues in total. And again, for the sewer fund, we didn't have any trouble balancing the budget, and we have a strong contingency, and we have a strong contribution to sewer projects. I think it's about 175, something like that.
75.
175.
I think it was just 75.
Oh, 75,000.
Because the 40 went to
Oh, right,
Tyler.
40,000 went to Tyler, yeah, both water and sewer, there were transfers to capital project, 40,000 includes, Tyler technology conversions.
So, with sewer, are we on the same kind of timeline with, with
The
the
sewer,
water,
well,
or is
the
that?
sewer fund is much stronger,
Mhm.
and, Chris, on the sewer infrastructure, is it in the same situation that those pipes need to be replaced as urgently as the water?
I would say similar. We're about to hopefully do an I&I study. We actually received funding to do an I&I study. We're gonna be doing a RFQ real soon here to get a consultant on board and start that project. We don't know exactly the extent of the I&I. We do know we have I&I. I&I is inflow and infiltration. It rains, water infiltrates through the ground into our pipes. It flows into, the sewers from illegal connections like rain gutters and sump pumps and things like that. Our flows are typically 2 million gallons a day. In these rain events, they go up to like 8 million gallons a day. It's significant. So I'm imagining, Greg, I assume you agree, we have some pipes to repair there. But those pipes are gonna be more of like lining projects.
Mhm.
We'll line like the interior manholes, we'll line the pipes. It's a little bit different
Okay.
repair than complete replacement of the water
Okay.
main.
And we can, Waterworth also, this is available for our sewer fund. We have it on our list to do, but we just have not gotten there yet. So we can do the exact same type of history and projections, and, be able to provide that to council.
Anything else?
Just one question when I'm thinking about the $15 minimum rate. What's the minimum fee?
Right now, the minimum fee between water and sewer is $543. It's $253 for water and $270 for sewer.
So $15 rate increase is like less than 5%.
I didn't do this.
I mean, you don't have to do that, I'm just,
Yeah.
okay, so that makes sense.
Just to give you some context too, like last year, the recommendation was, like she said, $10, and the council would only approve up to a $5 increase. And that's why we're behind, because I know there were concerns about impacting people's budgets, but I think the budget that's getting impacted here is our own infrastructure for the city, so.
And just so you know, when I have people at the window who are complaining about the bills,
to that quarterly billing. When, you know, all the pieces fall into place for that, it sounds like that might alleviate some of the concerns that you hear when people.
And it will also make our closings of properties easier, because right now they're doing water readings. It makes the closings for the real estate agents and the lawyers a bit complicated. And also,
Yes.
also when the new owner, say
Mhm.
the property changes hands in March, they do a reading at that time, and then they get the bill the next March, and they're thinking they're paying the previous owner's bill because it says it's the usage for the prior year. And so it gets very confusing, and so those are a lot of the questions that we have to answer. They get credit for it on their closing papers, but it's, you know, that way, if we change how we're doing it, we'll be able to send a final bill to the seller, and then just start a brand new bill for the new buyer.
I can confirm that was confusing when it happens, you know, the sale.
It can be confusing, especially when they haven't gone over the minimum yet, and there's, you know, they've used 35,650 gallons, and the only thing that we're able to do is to take the minimum bill and divide it by 12. And it's really, it's not the best, approach, and I just wanna improve it.
How are the meters read? Does somebody go around and read them?
Well, yes, meters are read every month, and they're radio read, and some of the newer meters are self-point. And then, Chris's DPW staff, Marianne, and Mo, they actually have a laptop in the car, and they drive all around the streets of the city and collect all the reads.
So
Actually,
it's
Zoom today.
a wireless connection of some sort?
It's,
So, there are two different devices, as Jenny said. We have cellular endpoints, which are read by a cell phone, basically. All of our 3-inch and higher meters have the cellular endpoint. We're actually in the process of installing 2-inch, so soon all of our 2-inch and higher meters will have the cell endpoint. We can actually go online and actually get the meter readings online for those. All the other ones have what are called ERTs. They send out a signal. When we drive the vehicle around, it picks up the signal and it downloads the information from the meter. And we come back, plug it into our computers, and are able to generate what their water usage is from that. But our plan is to completely convert to the cellular endpoint.
Thank you.
and also the customer can, with the cellular endpoint, they can sign up with the company, and they can actually see their water reading every day.
That'd be great for like climate smart
Lots of
communities.
stuff,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that
Yeah,
there are
it's-
people who would
It's
really like that.
fascinating. I can tell when every student gets up and starts taking showers. I can tell when,
Okay.
Flushes
I
his
can tell when
toilet.
they turn on
Like
the.
each individual student?
Well, I meant the building. Like
But
you
yeah.
can tell when they all get up when they're getting ready for
Yeah,
class.
oh, that's
You can
that's
tell when
interesting,
we fire up the dish machine first thing in the morning.
Huh.
You see this big spike go up. It's supposed to monitor. It tells you if you have a leak or not, but I don't think that feature's pretty. I don't know if that's real accurate or not. It sits there and says that it
I
goes
trust
come
it.
up, but because sometimes they'll say like, oh, you got a leak, but then all of a sudden you look at it again a few hours later and it's back to green that you're fine, like there's no. So
I think what it does is it detects continuous flow, and then it's trying to warn you, to check something.
Anything else that we can,
We can go over OPT quickly if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, there were some budget request forms for water and sewer that were included in that packet. No one had any questions about those last time. We don't have to go through them if you didn't. But
Yeah,
as
I mean,
Jenny
I
explained,
went
basically
over all
everything
of
was
it.
funded that was requested, and in water and sewer, there's really not much,
I don't think I got any
discussed.
marked
If
for
it's actually
questions.
funded, there are things that need to be done.
there is not much.
No, they were in there,
And
but
it's up to you, it's similar
Yeah.
to the general fund discussion, if there were any particular items you wanted to hear about, but they were all funded, so there aren't,
Yeah.
there aren't
Oh,
the
yeah.
considerations of, well, should we add this back in or not?
Mhm.
There was not that
No,
concern,
the
so we
only
had-
cuts we
that's
made
why we didn't really.
were based on history, maybe we reduced a
Mhm.
Yeah.
chemical supply code, because, we didn't need that much, but
Right.
otherwise, all the equipment requests and, different
It's all-
projects that we'd like to do are in there.
Yeah.
When is the transit, making their move? Do you have a date yet?
I don't know if I have a date, Chris, on a transit, you know, I don't know if we picked a date, but November. They're
Yeah,
moving in
that's-
right along.
Sometime in the month of November.
The furniture is installed.
I was talking to a guy who was, putting in on Water Street, electric outlets for, apparently we're gonna have lighting on the trees. I didn't know that, but,
The overhead
Yes, there are
lighting?
outlets for every tree.
yeah. So, what kind of lighting is that gonna be?
I know they're putting lights
We
on
would
the
do
trees.
similar,
I don't know.
we could do similar lighting like we've done in Lower Plaza.
Oh.
Which would be
It's
outstanding.
beautiful.
Can I just point that out? Was that your design there? Who came up with the lighting on Mueller Plaza? It's fantastic.
Yeah, it is, it's beautiful.
Did you?
It's wonderful.
So wonderful.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
truly
That's
is.
nice.
It just gives the right kind of ambiance that that space needs,
really
to not be
does.
dark, but also not be bright, you
I
know?
don't think so. So, it doesn't have any effect on the trees themselves. Maybe
No.
maybe a little
I
drawing.
mean, they'll probably have to be loosened periodically as they grow.
Yeah.
No, I meant in the health of the trees, does it affect the tree at all? Because, you know, it's usually light and dark, now they're on all night, I believe, right?
They are. I don't believe I mean, it's done in other
Yeah, I was gonna say.
municipalities.
I've seen
Yeah,
it.
I've seen it in
Yeah.
plenty of
Yeah.
places.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Sure,
think
sure,
too,
sure.
but I-
Any hip and cool city has that going on.
That's right.
We have
Just
lights on
saying,
our trees
I'm just
up there.
saying.
And my
That's
old
right.
universities, I do
Exactly.
it. I don't even know if they do it anymore, but it's really
It
quite
is.
stunning.
It is
really
nice.
We get
It
that, and the
highlights
string
our
lights over
beautiful
Water
trees.
Street, baby.
So there's potential in the infrastructure on Water Street to do something similar.
The guy was installing the,
Yeah, so that's really neat.
It'll be beautiful.
Yeah. Anyway, I
So
just
we
wanted
talk
to do
about-
that.
Just a question on lights, how's the lead time coming on the, lights that we didn't get delivered yet?
Say that again?
The
Oh,
lights that
the ones
were
for Water
backordered?
Any,
Any,
there's no change, it's a 24-week lead time, and they're not gonna come any sooner. So we're looking at, 24 weeks, what I guess, was it
Right.
April?
Probably April, I would
Yeah.
guess, by the time they're installed.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
Okay, if there's nothing, did you wanna do the,
Do you want me to discuss
the
OPT?
OPT? Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Great.
So the preliminary budget, increases the OPT revenues. And if you go to your October 19th memo, and it's on page 8. Is everybody there? Did you find your memo?
Yeah.
It's your October- It should have a tab on it that says
It's like
October 19th.
about halfway through. That helps.
And go to page 8, please, and it discusses OPT. So you'll see on there that we've increased, the fare box budget by $10,000, the county contract for the Cooperstown run by 50, contract stops by 65. And the reason being is because the increase in the Harvard College and also for the All-Star Village. And then, now they are going to be collecting the rent from Fairways, because now it's in the transit building, so that rent now belongs to basically DOT. So it's going to be, rent income for them. Then insurance coverage, I don't usually budget insurance coverage, but because of the OPT's budget, I needed another revenue source, and historically, they range from $50,000 to $75,000 in insurance coverage just because of bus accidents, and bus repairs. So I included a budget of $25,000 there. I was able to increase the state aid, the STOA aid by $180,000, and David said that he was at a meeting this week, he called me from the meeting. DOT told him that they're going to be adjusting the, formula for our STOA reimbursement. And so instead of getting a huge cleanup payment the next February, they're now going to start, hopefully we'll get it every quarter instead of having to wait the 12 months for the cleanup. and that will really help OPT with the cash flow. He also told me, I'll let him speak on this at the next meeting, but he also told me that the meeting he was at, there is a lot of new grants available for transit, so we'll be exploring those different options. I did decrease the federal aid, the 5311 aid, and the reason being is that the 2025 budget included the balance of our CARES grant. And now that CARES grant has been fully exhausted, so what is going to be available to us is our operating aid. DOT has let us roll 2024 and 2025 forward, and then we'll be able to use 2026 and 2027 together. So I'm going to be claiming the 24-25 aid in the 26 budget. And then, so the difference between the CARES Act and the operating aid is the 137. And then all other categories, I ended up decreasing by the 13.5. So their estimated expenses have increased a little over 218,000, with the majority of it being in bus repairs. And the bus repairs budget is determined by a 3-year average of the central garage services. And I look at labor hours, I look at parts, and I look at sublet to see what their averages are. And that is how we determine the budget for all of the central garage expense codes. And the Transit Hub capital project is close to completion. We are really not going to know the full budget changes of the building until we get in there and we realize what the operations are going to intake. So this budget may change. For example, we've estimated maintenance agreements for all the new things that we have, and we've estimated the electricity and things like that. But we just need some history to guide us for what our future budgets may be. And then, and I just explained to you that the CARES Act has been fully exhausted, and as far as the operating aid. But one thing that we need to do for the future, because by the time we get to 2027, we're going to start realizing a deficit in the fund, in the OPT fund. So we have to look at how are we going to change operations? What are we going to do? How do we increase ridership? How do we have more contract slots? Do we merge with the county? You know, does it become a regional operation instead of just a city operation? So as you know, we've already informed council that DOT is very interested in merging OPT countywide, and we will be meeting with officials. And once we get more information in detail, we'll bring that forward to council for consideration.
Excuse me, were you meeting with the county or with the state?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, it'll be between the DOT officials, the county, and Greg and I and David.
Is the county interested? Because
Oh,
they have some
absolutely.
problem, financial problems.
Yeah, no, they're
Well,
absolutely
that would be
interested,
good.
yeah. Matter of fact, they've been asking us to, for a while to, maintain their buses, because the service that they were getting for maintaining their buses was not, working well. But when David and Charlie looked at their buses, there were some of them that they would not touch, because there was just no way they could bring them up to being compliant.
How many do they have? Do you know?
That I don't know.
They don't have that many, I don't think.
I can't answer that, so I'm sorry. If David was here, he would know. So anyway, so there's a lot of ideas that we're exploring, and as I said, once we get details and firm information, we'll bring it back to council for consideration. But also one thing that we have to understand is if these don't come forward, where it ends up being self-supporting, the council's gonna have to decide, is the general fund going to start contributing towards the transit operations? Right now, the general fund has been very fortunate in the past several years that it hasn't had to contribute a dime, as far as their operations, yes, towards their capital purchases, but that is something that council is going to have to decide. And, and that's basically how I concluded my memo, should the general fund be contributing to the transit services? The general fund supports basically most of the services that we provide in the city, and probably transit should be considered.
Though it sounds like there is potential on horizon for there to be opportunities to expand
Yeah,
PT.
oh, yeah,
and-
absolutely,
yeah.
yes.
So
And-
it
and-
sounds like there's maybe some
Well, you,
good news.
well, it's, if it gives you any indication, the state was willing to invest $10 million into our transit hub. The state was willing to invest in all of our bus inventory, and we just got awarded 1.9 million for bus replacements. I think it's 1.9. Could be 1.3. I'm trying to remember the numbers. And, you know, and all of our operating aid got invested. So the DOT sees Oleana as a well-run, effective, efficient transit system. And, so the indications from the federal and state government with the investments that they're putting in the Oleana area should ensure the council members that they see the, importance and the, vitality of our transit system.
From my point of view, the key is to increase ridership. You have to do that. How we do it, I don't know, but, you know, it's underutilized. We have, we should definitely.
COVID changed everything for our transit ridership. It changed first of all, it changed the night activity. It changed the students' habits of not coming downtown. It changed them isolating themselves for their transportation, calling Ubers or taxis. They didn't want to be in crowded areas. And that's starting to return, but it's not back to the pre-COVID activities.
That's also where I think this, the microtransit study may really fill in some of those gaps where, you know, I think that may, you know, like you're saying, looking at a shift in how services are provided or, you know, in what structure model, who we're working with, and so I think that might be a part of it.
Right, so I'll give you an example. I have a friend who occasionally asks me for a ride. He's an older guy, and he's got some mobility problems, and he had to go for an MRI today. And so I said I could give him a ride there, but I couldn't wait around for him. And he couldn't use the bus, complicated reason, but he was stuck. So the only option was I gave him money for a taxi. But if we had what Elaine was just talking about, he would have been able to get a ride both ways.
Well, we do have paratransit for the
Yeah.
people that need extra assistance, and he could
For
have
some
called
reason,
here.
he doesn't do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get into details with him. I just, if I can help, I help.
But no,
the whole point of this is that if we could get people who don't drive and don't have a car to start using the service more, and then take the next step, which is what I think is the most important, get people who have a car to use it for, say, if they go to South Side or something like that. That would be important. And how you accomplish that, I have no idea, but that would be very helpful for the environment, for the transit system, for people.
Well, one reason why we were strongly supporting the RSS building at 27 Market Street is because probably a lot of the people that would have been in that residence would have utilized the transit system. So that is one beneficial of having a housing unit right next door to transit.
Sure.
I was thinking more in terms of people who have cars, that will ultimately, you know, how do you get people out of cars and to take a bus?
I agree that's important, but I think ultimately the target population should, you know, are the folks who need transportation.
That's the
You know,
first
and that
thing.
is, yeah, and that's nice, you know, to get more people on board and, you know, make the city walkable and connectivity without needing a car, you know, is great. But I think, you know, first we need to, you know, consider that there, you know, people, like you said, who are using it for medical appointments, getting to work, you know, things like that. Although we do have, you know, for medical appointments and stuff, there are structures like, you know, like you mentioned, paratransit, Medicaid transport, you know,
Yeah,
things like that
I
that
don't
folks
know
can
if
rely on.
that works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there are resources though that the
Mhm.
community can,
But I think
you
if
know,
we can
use.
get more people riding the bus, everyone will benefit. We just have to figure out a way to do that.
And well, the RSS building going down and on West Broadway, that's also going to increase ridership. And I know that they've already discussed, you know, the routes and things like that. I know that's in the RSS thinking. So, you know, that's also going to increase ridership.
But even, you know, when we consider our options for 27 Market and the other properties that, you know, are available there, you know, when we think about, you know, what we wanna have in there, if increasing ridership is a goal, then, you know, looking at, you know, having residential property there would be, you know, support that goal.
Are there any other questions regarding OPT? We are not looking to raise the fares, and just so you know, because a lot of the customers will tell you, they struggle sometimes just to pay our current fares,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's $1.50.
Is there any strategizing around getting students back to using the buses
I think-
from the college's
I don't
perspective?
wanna
I know that Hartwick, I know that there's a contingency, I learned this last year from faculty and visiting Hartwick, that there's a whole contingent of students who work at Southside and they depend on the bus. They depend on the bus that comes to Hartwick to take them there. So I know that Hartwick has this, like, I just wonder at SUNY, for, you know, it sounds like the history has been that the buses were mainly used for socializing, you know, bringing students to socialize downtown. And I'm just curious if there's ways to kind of move past the COVID era of
Well, I think-
decline in the use of
So
these
Greg had a
buses.
pretty good idea of food trucks down on,
Oh, yeah.
which
Yeah.
is, I think, a really stellar idea.
And where's
You've got
that
trees that are lit up,
Going
and,
now.
yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah,
Well-
so where's that plan in terms of like being implemented?
Implementation,
Yeah.
it hasn't really progressed. I think it can still.
Yeah.
You know, we designed the bus bays to, obviously at nighttime, you're not gonna have as many buses coming in as you do during the day. You'll have free bays. They all have electric that could
Oh, I
power a
see.
food truck. You get a food trucks parked there at the food truck plaza at a certain, say you have one day a week at a certain time of night.
Yeah.
That's maybe not competing so much with the restaurants that are closing at a certain time, and you market that to students. Maybe you get a deal with SUNY Hartwick to have their cars work there and try to get them to ride down for a
Yeah.
destination. It doesn't involve
good.
necessarily going to bars, but they could be freshmen, sophomores living on campus.
Yeah.
Or
So it's something we want to look into more. But
It's worth a
Absolutely.
try, no?
It's been a long time since we had the food cart in the parking garage
Mhm.
selling knishes and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And
That
also
was very
the-
cool in college though.
The Harvard contract has been modified, that's why it was such a large increase, because I know we are providing extra service for them now, so that will increase ridership. The SUNY numbers are up, they're just not pre-COVID
They're just
level.
not there yet, yeah.
And from what I'm sure, I'm just repeating some things that David has told me, I wish David was here to speak towards it. But he has told me that, relationships with the bus drivers are a big aspect of getting the people to ride the buses off campus. So I think they've been working hard on getting the students to get to know the bus drivers.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions? All right.
I'm sorry that Katie's not here. Should I call her by name?
You know, I would say, it's 7 o'clock, she's gonna be here or not.
Sounds like that's home.
Is it too much to include a discussion of the admin manual for Tuesday night? Would that be just too much?
It's gonna wind up, even as you discuss it here, if you don't, even if you as you discuss it here, those who are not here are gonna wanna weigh in on any
Right.
thinking that came
Well,
of
yeah.
this conversation.
Right.
So it's gonna be a repetition of the conversation.
It would almost be
One
better
way or
just
the
to
other.
have that conversation there.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, if we
Mhm.
should
That's what I
postpone it.
think.
Yeah,
It's gonna
that's
add.
right. Essentially, if she's not here, you're pretty much going to have that conversation.
You're gonna redo it,
Exactly.
Yeah.
which,
Instead of sitting through it twice and then everybody's like getting upset, like, oh, we just did that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So unless you guys are gonna run through and come to a consensus of this is what we wanna do,
I'm not sure you'd have a consensus because when you start talking about pay raises, I
Right.
out the door.
So,
That's
my,
right,
my,
we
my
already
suggestion,
found
Cecilia, for what it's worth would be
I think Tuesday
deferred.
night or whatever.
Exactly.
I think we should.
Cause
Yeah.
Scott just pointed out,
Right.
we
You have
can't
to
say
leave
board
anyway.
anyway, so we only have 4 of us.
So
I
you're
can do
gonna-
certain parts in the admin
Right,
manual,
right,
but then when
but
you
not
start
the
talking about
salary.
raises and stuff,
Sorry, Mike, we were just talking about whether or not the conversation is,
Yeah.
you know, if it would be for fortuitous for us to continue the conversation, or if we should delay it until our meeting on Tuesday.
We were
Sorry,
hoping.
Ginny, what were you gonna say?
I didn't know if you wanted, Greg, did you want me to give at least the history of the admin meeting law? Or do you want me to wait until Tuesday?
That's up to the group. Sounds like
I
we're
would
talking
just
about
do everything on
do
Tuesday.
everything
Well,
one time.
I mean-
Tuesday?
You'd go Tuesday?
Then
So
we
you
go
go
Give us
Tuesday.
a background for it? Okay.
I'm just thinking that Katie and Lynn at least probably don't need to hear the background. I imagine they've heard it.
No, I don't
No?
think I have.
Yeah.
You don't think that?
And retention on something like that, even if people have heard it.
Yeah.
you
It
know.
doesn't hurt to hear
It,
it
I mean,
again.
it would make sense for us to
Everybody
all
has to
hear
hear
the
it.
I
same
think it would be
message.
useful to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so probably all one
yeah.
sit
Yeah,
down.
I think so.
I was ready for tonight, but I hear that, yeah, it's gonna be
I'm
more
just
effective.
wondering if, yeah, if we,
Yeah.
because there will be, I think, strong opinions about.
Without
Yeah.
doubt.
And we also have to consider how we invest our time and energy after a 7-hour meeting last night and coming back today,
Right.
so.
Could we?
I'm just, the
Staff
only reason I
as
bring it
well,
up
of course, all
with
the staff
some
who showed
concern
up.
is because would it mean that we were gonna have another 7-hour meeting?
I
Can we
have
include this on Tuesday?
Jeez, I hope not.
No.
I mean, there's no way of knowing, but,
You have to keep
but
on track.
there is way of knowing, just on years of experience at this point, that if the person who wanted this discussion isn't here, that discussion is gonna wind up being had again.
Redone.
Right.
The other thing is too, we still have the option of doing another special meeting
That's
if
true.
we're not
Yes.
completed on Tuesday.
That's true.
Because I think we can probably all agree 1 7-hour meeting in like a
Yeah.
certain stretch of time is enough.
Right.
When Greg and I go
But-
through the agenda of the council meeting, we're going to try to keep it as, you know,
Yeah.
short and clean as you
Okay,
possibly
yeah.
can.
Lay
Maybe we
everything
even
in
come
there.
up with like a time, you know, that we call it, so that we can say, okay,
Um,
now is
At
the
any,
moves into a
sure, at
special
any
meeting.
point, yeah, that's
But-
right, we can kind of say, the council member can
'Cause
say,
I think
I've
yesterday
heard
was-
enough.
Yesterday was actually a really, I think we did great work, and it was very, you know,
Yeah.
effective what we did, but definitely towards the end it was difficult to keep focus going.
Doggy waste bags.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah,
So
I
I-
appreciate everybody.
On
for
November.
Tuesday,
Yes, Jimmy.
I'm not changing anything then, correct? The
I guess we'll
tentative
have to do
budget.
that.
You can't, you have to go with what you have, and what you
Based on-
have.
Already agreed that.
Based
Right.
on last night's discussion,
We've
Yeah.
already
they made
agreed to
decisions,
Tuesday.
those are the only changes we're making.
Right,
Yeah.
No,
Nothing.
I don't think,
nothing from tonight.
I don't think they were definite, because when Katie said that it was too late at night to make those.
Well, she's not
decisions.
here now.
No,
and
we
you-
did, no,
and
we
you do
did
have to-
agree on
Yes.
certain parts of those to go in, other parts were not.
Yeah.
I think.
That was like your,
Yeah, the $265,750
Yes, that's
added
what
back
I
in
had.
the budget.
Yes, but the funding of it was not decided.
That's
Remember,
true.
the funding was not decided.
well, as of right
so-
now, it's just gonna be, well, you'll have to say this is how much taxes are going up to put that in there.
Yeah, but I would be comfortable with that. Let's start there, and then we can always rework it on Tuesday.
Mhm.
I
So
think that's
instead
the
of like a
smartest-
5%,
Right.
it might be at 7%, or it might be
Yeah.
we're at 8%, or it might
At
be
least
we're at
that'll
10.
give us the picture of where we're at,
Mm-hmm.
and then that'll give us a place to start,
Yeah.
right? That's what we keep
Good
saying, we
starting
just
point.
need someplace to start.
And that's.
Right, and Ginny's thing is,
That-
you know, we're not talking about percentages, we're talking about the amount of monies that are
Right,
being added
yes.
in.
All of you know, I don't like to talk percentages, I like to talk dollars. Because dollars is what matters, percents don't matter. Because it's the dollars that you're collecting, it's the dollars that you're paying.
Right,
I was happy to go with your recommendation,
me
Jamie.
too.
So,
And I think that's important
Yeah.
so,
to put it on the table.
so for Tuesday, I'm going to take the things that you agreed upon last night, and I'm just going to increase the tax levy for that amount,
Mhm.
is that correct?
That's a
So,
good-
so
I think that's the
Mike,
starting point.
yeah, and
Starting-
Mike
starting.
last night, and I thought that I did hear some consensus around, you used the figure, you were 350, then you went to 400,000, do you recall that?
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I think that there was, and at that point, because we were all tired, you said, No, 600 is really what we need. So, but I think that there was some conversation that got some echo here at this end of the dais, that 400,000 did seem like a number that people could work with.
And I'm going to repeat myself, I am not comfortable appropriating 2 million from fund balance.
Mhm.
I'm just not comfortable with that number.
Mhm.
1.8, I think, is a nice number to work with, because that's what we have done in the past. And to go now, to turn that 1 into a 2, I don't think we should do it.
Okay. So you'll present the numbers, Jenny,
It's noted.
right? So you'll present the numbers on Tuesday, and people will start to do that with it.
And I will, so what I'm gonna do then, I'm gonna put the tentative budget together, so it looks like this. But this is all manual work, and it takes time. So I may not get it to you before Tuesday night, because I'm gonna have to do it over the weekend. And
Is it possible that we have it just electronically and not in any sort of like hard copy?
printing it is no big deal, it's
Okay.
creating it,
Okay.
so.
You'll do the best you can to get to them as early as you can, everybody understands.
Okay, so, and again, I'm hoping Tyler does this for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So, I don't know if it makes sense to talk about any of this
No.
now.
No. That was
My
what I
question,
suggested.
so my question is, Tuesday, can we start at 5 instead of 6?
do you have time to advertise it?
I don't know what we can do about that.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't do the public hearing until 6 o'clock, but.
I think it will be a problem.
Oh, it is election day.
Right,
Keep
it's
that in mind, it is
election day
election
on
day.
top of it all, yeah.
Alright.
And I think this council member.
Yeah, I think that might
That-
be an issue.
And we really do want to have 8 people
Yeah.
sitting around here. So we starting at 6, and again, we'll work the typical agenda as best as we can to keep it as streamlined as we can, and we'll upload, we'll do upfront the conversation around the budget. And we'll say hard stop at 11 o'clock.
So generous.
That part was a joke, but so we'll do our best, and council members too can at any point say, I think we've heard
Yeah.
enough about this. If we start going round and round and round, somebody is.
Yeah, let's not do 20 minutes on.
Somebody's out of turn is one thing, but when people are bringing up points, and if you guys are like, we've heard this.
Well, your binders are full of information.
Yes, they are.
I mean, it's just packed full of
Yeah.
everything that, again, you need to
Mhm.
make your decisions.
It's a weight program.
I think the hard part is you're gonna have to try to get at least 5 people
Yes.
on board with what.
Well, that's
That's
as it is
what-
with everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's the hard part.
That
I
is
see
hard.
coming up on Tuesday.
Right, those are the hard decisions, right?
Right.
Well, I wanna take this out, I wanna do this, okay, well, no, but,
Right.
eventually it's.
But
gonna be-
we'll start with what the numbers are that you're able to put together, and we'll roll
Yeah.
through. And there are some items that we know that we want to have 8 members consider.
So I have a process question. We talked last night about things that we would add. We didn't talk about anything that we would cut. Like, I'm just thinking, like, 'cause I heard from a number of us that executive assistant position is important. Like, so, is there a time in the schedule when we go back and say, like, okay, well, maybe we can't afford 2 police cars this year? I just picked that example out of the top of my head, but I just don't know where that fits into the process.
That's Tuesday.
Right,
Yeah,
but like,
no, but I think it'll suggest itself in the conversation as we're going through things, and especially if we wind up in an impasse around, $50,000 or whatever it may be, that those sorts of suggestions will have their moment.
oh,
So,
All right,
can we adjourn?
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I was just gonna say, so if there's nothing else,